Welcome back, guys. Episode 3. Still no name for the podcast. We do have a sponsor, though, and it's World Legacy Clothing. You guys, worldlegacyclothing.com. I'm a co-owner with my best friend, Dylan. We started this about 10 years ago. It's just for the motivated and inspired by the motivated and inspired. We have one life, one legacy. That's a saying that we have there. We got t-shirts, hoodies for sale. It's a brand. We're building it up to be more. Just picture the dude that's like the first person that shows up to work and he's there before everyone else, right? And just picture that he's wearing World Legacy clothing. Then picture the dude that's staying after when everyone else leaves and he's wearing World Legacy clothing. Then picture it's the weekend and everyone's out partying, having a good time. And this dude's like face deep into his laptop and he's just grinding, building something bigger because he wants more out of life. That's what World Legacy clothing is to me. That's what I envision for it. That's what I picture. And this episode is sponsored by World Legacy Clothing. You guys can save 10% off and use the coupon code CRACK for 10% off at the checkout. All right, topic. I have it right here. Okay, this is a lesson that I had learned recently. I shared it with the people around me. I want to share it with you guys, right? So we all know what we want to do, but there's things that we need to do first. So understanding timeline of events. And one thing that I've learned, right, is there was my cousin Danny helped me with this. He was saying, you're trying to put out 15 fires at once. You can only put out one. So what that means is basically, let's say right now you're thinking about whether you have a job and you're thinking about starting a side hustle, a clothing line, a podcast, opening up a business, doing this, or meal prep. You have a lot of ideas. And I believe that we can do anything and everything that we put our minds to it, right? Like I'm fucking proof of that. I've taught myself how to make beats and I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars selling beats. I've taught myself how to do videos and, same thing, rinse and repeat with that. The key though is, before my advice to people would be focus on doing a lot of different things at once so that way you can make the most amount of money. When you get into a situation, someone's like, yo, dude, I need someone that can take pictures. And you're like, fuck it, I'll do the pictures, and so you watch some YouTube tutorials about photography and then boom, you go do the pictures. And now you're like, sweet, I'm a photographer. I made some money doing pictures. And then someone might need, some graphic design. I need a flyer design. And you're like, I can do it. And so you look up design, and that was my come up. And I would say long term, what happens is, so it's like in the beginning, we're juggling a lot of different things. All the different things are very small. So it's easy for you to manage 10 different things because they're all just little tiny babies. They're small things. They're new. They're fresh. And then over time, as things start to grow, it's hard to manage multiple different things, and it's actually like not productive, right? It's like, it's not productive to do that, and it actually hurts you. And then you start having to question, like, out of all these different things, which one is a best use of my time? And I got in this rut of constantly thinking, like, I could be doing this, but I should be doing this. I don't know what I should be doing. What's the most important use of my time right now? And I would drive myself crazy. And I don't want to get too off topic. Sacrifice what you want to do for what you need to do. Everyone knows what they want to do, but don't know what they need to do. And kind of what that means is, like, for me, starting a podcast, for me, focusing on my studio and launching all these other ideas and stuff that's in my head, I had to realize that those are all things that I want to do, and those are all things that I will do, but there's other more important things that I need to do first. So I think a good exercise for people to do, and this is something that I did, was mine was based around money, right? So I was thinking okay, if all I did was studio time, and I wanted to just make $10K a month from only studio time, how many hours would I have to do? And I figured out the hours, and I figured out would I enjoy doing that, or would I, rather do other things. And then I broke down like, okay, for me to make 10K a month doing courses at this price, how many courses do I have to sell a month? And then is that realistic? How close to that am I currently? And then I made decisions on where I should focus my time and energy. So I would say that the exercise to do is get a piece of paper or a Google Doc, whatever, and just put a line right down the middle. And then on the left side, I would write things I need to do. And then on the right side, I would do things I want to do. And things that you want to do, you're just going to start listing them. It might be start a clothing line, start a podcast, open up a food truck, do this, do that, launch a website, partner up with here, move here. So you have this big list of all the things that you want to do. And then now on the other side, you're going to write down the list of the things that you need to do. And this helped me accept. I think that there's a power in acceptance to accept things for the way that they are. Right? That's a lot of people are kind of in denial and they don't want to believe things. It's like, you tell them what they need to hear and they don't want to hear it. So it's like, nah. They don't accept things for what they are. And I think once you accept things or people for how they are, there's a power in that. Peace of mind. Just knowing like, it's so-and-so, like they're a liar, right? Like I accept it. Anything they say, like I'm not going to be surprised if they lie because I accept that this person's a liar, but they're close to me. Or there might be a brother, a sister, a mom or dad. And we can't control that. We can't control what other people do. We can just control how we respond to those things. And the fuck was I talking about? Separate what you want to do. Yeah. So for me, that was also like motivation for me to know that I really just want to focus on content. So I'll just use myself for an example, and then you guys you're smart, man. You're tuned in here. You're in the right place. You can read between the lines. So for myself, I really just wanted to do content. Like I love making content. Here's another exercise that you can do to figure out what the things that you want to do, okay? What things make you lose track of time? It might be playing video games. It might be like hanging out with your friends. It might be like talking about sports. It might be talking about marketing, talking about business. It might be making money. It might be filming content, right? What is something that makes you lose track of time? And for me, it's talking about business. It's talking about marketing. It's talking about branding. Yeah, like business, branding, and marketing. I would say those three things, like I lose track of time talking about. Another thing for me is I lose track of time when I'm having conversations with like-minded people. And then I also lose track of time when I film content. And then you have to ask yourself, so question number 2 is like, what things or activities do you do that make you feel alive? And for me, I said this during quarantine. So in 2020, when things shut down, it was like the first time in years that I actually got caught up. It was like all of my customers' videos, boom, boom, boom. I knocked them out. I was up to date on everything. And then everything, was shut down. So I'm like, wow, for the first time, I get to make a to-do list for myself throughout the week of things that are for me. So it was like, I'm going to film YouTube videos, and I did it. And I'm going to start a podcast and start talking to like-minded people. And when I did it, it was like this sense, like this aura I had around me, and I was just so fucking happy. And so when that happened, I remember I did an interview and I said, I've realized that there's things that we do in order to make a living, and then there's things that we do to make us feel like we're living. And for me, it was like making content, brainstorming, having communications, or having conversations. And so I'm like, if you take those things, and then the third thing that you can do is what things come natural to you that you're good at that other people seem to struggle with, where it's like, for you, it's so easy every single time, and other people struggle with it. When you combine those things, you can figure out what you should be doing. So for me, it was like, what comes natural to me is like seeing the big picture, understanding how to monetize things, where it's like, oh, I see a dude who's doing like weight loss before and after stuff. It's like, yo, he could easily come out with like a digital product that's a workout routine, a meal prep, something, a cookbook, like all these different things. And other people, they're like, oh, I never thought like that. So I would say for me, it's like brainstorming. Another thing that comes natural to me is like creating content out of things, making engaging content. And so I'm like, based on this, what would make me happy and make me feel like I'm living is I need to be a content creator. I need to be a YouTuber. I need to have a podcast. Because again, I lose track of time brainstorming and talking about business, branding, or marketing with like-minded people. So I'm like, this guy's has a podcast. So I'm like, I need to free something I want to do now, right? Is start a podcast and do that. And then also like creating content, losing track of time. I'm like, okay, something that I want to do is be a content creator. So now I have my list of things that I want to do, and I'm like, that'll make me happy. That'll really like unlock this happiness in me, and I'll just always be doing things that I love doing that come natural to me. And now you have to figure out like, okay, shit, that's where I want to get. That's like the vacation. What are the things that I need to do in order to get there? And I'm like, okay. And then you just start figuring out like only you have the answer to that, right? And it's just breaking down things like, what are you currently struggling with? You know, if it's money things, you have to track. Things that you don't track, it's impossible to measure and make progress on. Like if you want to get stronger, you track your weights when you work out. If you want to eat better, you track the food that you eat. If you want to, make changes in your finances, you track every dollar you spend. So it's like what you track is where you make progress. And yeah, topic of this, separate what you want to do. You figure out what you want to do from that exercise, right? And then you'll come up with a list of what you need to do. For me, what I need to do is really lock in. I realized I had a lot of distractions that I'm easily distracted, I guess. And I didn't realize that until like I was struggling with like, why is it so hard for me to get shit done? I'm easily distracted. Why? Just because the TV's on downstairs when my family's home and it's this open place and I hear it and it just causes distraction for me. And I realized like when my wife and daughter are gone and I'm home alone, right now I'm filming this from home, right? I have the house to myself. This third one of these bad boys that I've knocked out, right? So I'm extremely high level productivity when I'm alone. And I'm introverted, which means like being alone gives me fucking superpowers. So figure that stuff out, right? It requires a certain level of self-awareness, and it's just paying attention. That's all. But yeah, you guys, good talk, good episode. If you have any name suggestions for this podcast, let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments. If you're tuned in on Spotify, any other place, just screenshot it. Tag me on Instagram, Cracka_Lack. I appreciate you guys for giving me your time, right? You're not giving me your money, but you're giving me your time. And time and attention is money. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, RoyalLegacyClothing.com if you guys want to support. And the coupon code is CRACK for 10% off.